Okay, hello and welcome to the Zwift Race Place. Today we are going to be covering the TFC Autumn Series Race. This is live coverage and commentary of this race. Today we are doing 3 laps of the Watopia Hilly route. So let's get right into it. Right now we are watching Tuck of the TFC team, and he is one of our B riders. Believe our A riders are just about to go out shortly. Here we are now with Chris Ovenden of the Team Vegan. Still just awaiting that start. Now you can see we have our Cat A Series standings banner just running down on the bottom of this screen. And we are now going in with our A race. This is the A race, and we are watching P. Witter of the CTWT team. Still have the TFC Autumn Race Series banner up on the right, as I am registered in the CPens, and they will not start for another minute. But for now, watching P. Witter of the CTWT team. Now, in this A race, if you look at the results down below, current series standings, these series standings are largely dominated by TFC, leading this A series. And leading this race right now, this A race, we have Andres Strula. He is up here in this front group, along with P. Witter. Also up here, Ian Bressling, Arthur Mandot, a couple other riders. But now the riders are just approaching the start of this Watopia Hilly KOM here. This is the Zwift KOM. And 2 seconds to the start of the C race. And they are now underway. But currently in our front group, in our A race, and Jay Brancato has gone off the front, just about 15 meters ahead of the chase in E. Harris. E. Harris in those standings, sitting second place overall in the series standings. And Brancato just about to come around. This is a small little corner here, offers a little bit of rest from the KOM, but Brancato being overtaken by a few other riders just here. And now this group is all back together, and we go back to B. Harris. B. Harris leading your B race right now, another TFC rider. Also up here, see Case Meets of Team Vegan, pretty far up there in the results. Those overall series standings. Just toggle over to our Cat B series standings now down below. And we are still watching B. Harris of the TFC team, one of our leaders of this B race, and Case Med, the KST team, leading this pack out. That is the rider in the black jersey up there. If you look in the minimap, the upper right-hand corner of this race, see, this B category is quite spread out. Likewise in the A category, and our C racers just about to start this KOM now as well. Not a very large A field. I believe we have 6 racers in our A field. Those are Peter Witter, Taco Tabak, Andre Strula, Leon O'Regan, our current leader of the TFCA standings in this TFC Autumn Series Grit Race. Then Michael Auger and E. Harris. And two of those riders from the TFC team in our A race, and one of them of the CTWT team. Many more riders in our B category. And then a decent sized C category and a smaller D category. Now our front riders coming over the front, C. Schmidt taking that polka dot jersey, B. Harris up here as well as Chris Ovenden of the vegan team, one of our riders representing the vegan team here in this race. And as you can see, they have a lot of riders in this race. Vegan is the green team with the white V on their backs, and Chris Ovenden is that rider in the blue arrow helmet just at the bottom of your screen right now. See if we can go back with some of our C riders now in this race. This is Luigi Maria now, one of our dropped C riders, heading a little bit farther towards the front. H. Dijkstra, see him racing a lot in some of our other Zwift Race Place live streams. But at the front of the C race is A. Palisgard. Believe that he is not sure what this rider's name is, but A. Palisgard, the first over the Zwift KOM with a time of 2 minutes and 9 seconds. And he has got about 7 seconds on P. Lampert chasing behind. We'll see if he can hold this gap over the backside of this KOM, this descent, or if the pack will catch him and sweep him back up, as there is a drafting advantage in the pack right now. Now, if you have races that you would like to see covered on the Zwift Race Place in the future, just let me know in the live chat over to your right. Watching that right now, so just let me know in the live chat if there are any races that you want to see covered in the future. But for now, back to the action with A. Palisgard. J. Jameau and A. Roche chasing at the front of that group behind, and Palisgard just getting swept up here by those other front C racers. Now in the front with Jameau. Leave Adam Bubb up here as well in our C race. He is doing quite well in our category C series standings. Switching over to that right now. These riders now starting their descent, and see if we can go back with some of our leading D racers on the road. As I said, a smaller D category, and our riders just hitting this little bump in the road here on this descent. Farther back on the road now with Split P, sitting towards the front overall, I believe in third place there. But M. Shableti is your number one D rider on the road. Shableti leading by about 30 seconds to the rest of your D riders. And not sure that Shableti is a routine TFC Autumn Series racer, but we will see if we see him in those Category C results now being shown on the bottom of your screen. Your Category D results now being shown on the bottom of your screen. Is still with M. Shableti and J. Robson and T. Zweiback. It's TFC and a CPT racer chasing behind, not making much headway. The gap gone from 36 seconds now out to 38. So Shableti, making some progress on this descent, unlike what we saw in our C category, where our leading C racer was caught on the descent. Now, this is, of course, 3 laps of this Watopia Hilly route. And this route, of course, starting down in downtown Watopia. This was, in fact, the first route created on Zwift. This was the first route open for riders to ride, and still remains one of the most popular racing routes to this day. But it, of course, starts in downtown Watopia before heading on up and over the steep side of the Zwift KOM, then descends down through the Italian villas to the sprint point, and then as there is our set of S's, which are some rollers benefiting the heavier riders before the final descent back down into the finish. And Shableti now going for a super tuck, not going quite fast enough, now hitting that 36 mile per hour mark, and Shableti dropping into a super tuck on this final section of this descent off the backside of the Zwift KOM. Now 48 seconds back to the chasers in our D race. But back in the front of this race, this is your A race with Andres Strula. And getting our A series results now on the bottom of your screen. If you have a rider that you would like to see, just let me know in the chat over to the right of this video. But still in this front A group, I believe we have Andre Strula, Leon O'Regan, Michael Auger, Peter Witter, Taco Tabak, and E. Harris. Now, these are all of the riders registered for this race. Actually, 6 riders registered for this race, and E. Harris now about 32 seconds off the back of this group. So Harris has been dropped from this front group, and it is now a group of 5 A racers, and they are still on their first lap, I believe, just coming through these S's, I believe, that I was talking about earlier. Just trying to... Yes, just... Excuse me. Now coming down through this little archway here and heading back in towards downtown Watopia. On their way there right now. You can now see the sandy beaches of Watopia. And the finish arch is down just after this descent. Andre Strula just dropping off the back a little bit now. Now coming to the front, but the finishing arch is on this flat section of road just after this descent, which will make for a fast sprint as the riders coming off of this descent, and it's not too far from there into the sprint. Now, just after we round this corner, we should start to be able to see that finishing banner, and it is now in the riders' sights. This is, of course, though, only their first lap, one of 3. And our lead A racers knocking out this first lap in just under 13 minutes. They are expected to finish around the 38.5-minute mark, so we will see if the pace stays fast in this A race or if they start to ease off a little bit. But they have already dropped one of those A racers, and now it is down to the 5 in the front. That is Andre Strula, Leon O'Regan, Michael Auger, and Taco Tabak. Broncado also up here as well. The riders now just over 6 miles into this race, and they are approaching their second pass over the Zwift KOM up that steep side. Sorry about that. This is, of course, your leading A pack. See a wide variety of jerseys in this front group. See that TFC jersey, and now just looking at some of the bike choice here. See the Trek, maybe that is a Trek Madon, and the trusty old Tron bike. That bike working especially well on this course, great on the aero sections, but also a fast climber. And then the Canyon Aero Road, Pink Canyon Aero Road on the far side of your screen now. Another good all-rounder choice for a course like this for riders that have not yet unlocked the Tron bike. But see some big numbers now coming from Taka Tabak and hitting into those red numbers for a second. Red numbers, of course, means that the riders are pushing over 8 watts per kilogram. And Michel Auger now falling off the back just a little bit, sprinting his way back on into this pack. And seems that they are currently staying together. E. Harris, our dropped rider, at 39 seconds back, pushing hard, trying to get back into this group, just brought back about 3 seconds there, and it looks like the gap to him is closing. See if he can keep up that pace. But going back with our front B, not sure if this is a front B rider or a dropped B rider quite yet. Yes, this is our leader of the B pack, and this is M. Dainty of the Team Cystic Fibrosis, wearing this blue fade jersey with the yellow and pink Zwift emblem on it. But Chris Ovenden now closing the gap along with B. Harris and C. Schmidt. So this front pack of B racers now coming back together. And we will stay with our B race all the way to the top of this KOM here. And just see, comes over there first. There are not points for intermediates in this series, though, of course. But always interesting to see if anybody takes the initiative to come over the top through that KOM arch first. Chris Ovenden now on the front, the vegan rider in the blue Zwift Aero helmet there on the blue Tron bike, and you can see these B riders spread out behind him. Jay Mueller also up here as well, and C. Schmidt. That is Chris Schmidt of the Kirschmeyer e-cycling team that we are watching right now. And coming through this KOM banner first, I believe that will be Sean Leary, also of the vegan team, on that greenish yellow Tron bike there. And these riders now beginning their descent, just about 1 minute and 5 seconds behind our lead A racers. Curious to see if our dropped A rider, E. Harris, can catch into one of these front B groups and try and make his way back on to the front A pack. Don't see it being very likely, though. And M. Dainty now 2 seconds off the front of this pack, making a little bit of a move on this KOM in the early moments of the KOM, and now trying it again on the descent. So be watching for M. Dainty to make a move in the final moments of this Criterium Series race in that final sprint. Of course, doubt this attack will be able to get away. The pack is still in sight back there. But now 4 seconds back to Chris Ovenden, C. Schmidt, Jay Mueller are routine chasers on the front of this pack. And the gap growing to 5 seconds now. So just looking to see if maybe Dainty can maintain this kind of pace. This is, of course, a crit race, but a hilly one at that. The route is, of course, Watopia Hilly, which implies, the name implies, the terrain. And Sean Leary now coming to the front. the riders behind still 5 seconds back about, but Sean Leary bringing it within 4 seconds now, and Ovenden and Harris following. So this gap is starting to come down. But a hilly crit race, as I was saying, and only 3 laps. So there is still a chance for a breakaway to go clear. Not like a flat drag around the Champs-Élysées in Paris. Done a couple of those crit races myself, and once you are gone from the pack, you are gone from the race, and even going off the front is so hard, as the pack just has such an advantage in the draft. But the gap now back out to 5 seconds to Leary, Schmidt, Mueller. So Dainty with a valiant move here at the front of this B race, and we'll see if he can maintain this lead for the remaining about a lap and a half now of this race. Andre Strula, Liano Reagan still leading this race, and Liano Reagan, of course, our leading A category rider in the series standings currently, as Dainty coming down now over this red bridge. This is Martin Dainty that we're watching right here, and I do not see him registered on Zwift Power, so see if he is included in those final results. Now back with who I believe is our leader of the D race, Maddie Schlebletti, just coming up the KOM here, and he is pushing some decent numbers for a D category race, up to over 4 watts per kilogram now, and not quite sure where our next D rider is on the road, but I believe it is a ways back. Once again, I don't believe that Schlebletti is registered on Zwift Power, so that would make 2 riders leading their races not registered on Zwift Power. An interesting twist in this race here. But Schlebletti catching a large amount of C racers now, and just back to the Zwift Power registrations. Seems interesting that riders pushing what could be considered outside of category limits are in fact not registered on Zwift Power, where their category limit would be shown. So, innocent mistake or an attempt at sandbagging. It's could be quite a controversial issue on Zwift. But not focusing on sandbagging regulations now. Back to the race, still with Maddie Schlebletti leading our D race, and he is catching a large number of these C racers. Now going over to our current D series standings. Schlebletti not on these series standings, but he is leading out a large group of C riders right now on this little descent. And see if we can go farther towards the front of the C race. Up here, sitting in 16th place overall, P. Burton. Looks like a lone rider. Didn't quite make the cut in that front group. But this is now your front group. And we see Bath CC Lansdowne team of the Bath CC Lansdowne team. But also up here as well is P. Lampert, E. Forster, A. Roche. So these are your leading C riders right now, I believe. This is Connor Chandler that we are watching right now. His name not giving away much of that, but according to Zwift Power, Connor Chandler, of the Bath CC team. And it appears that he is also sandbagging in this race. According to Zwift Power category limits, Connor Chandler is an A racer, but obviously those limits not being enforced right now, and Chandler racing in our C race, so 2 categories down from where he should be. Just going back over to our C series standings now. And P. Lampert, this is your rider leading the C race now. He has got about 1 second on Frederic Otecki. Emmanuel Forster also back there chasing. Anders Pallasgaard in that group behind as well. Couple of these riders up in the front group not registered on Zwift Power. And of course, Angel Bohanero leading our C series results, followed by Phil Peak and Steve Stahl. Then Adam Bubb and Chip Siebold. I believe both Bubb and Siebold are racing today. Siebold sitting in around the top 20-25 in this C race, and not entirely sure where Bubb is. But those first 3 riders I do not believe are racing in this race today. Now getting tabs on Bubb. About, in a top 10 position, I can say for sure. About 6 or 7 places back. But now, as the riders hit the S's, I believe this is Emmanuel Forster putting in a big move, hitting just over 8 watts per kilogram there for a second. And Frederic Otecki also in this front C group. So just watching as they come through these S's, and one big kick at the beginning of the S's, and then a decent sized descent here. That'll be about 15-second descent before they start going up again. And now our rider Connor Chandler, the Irishman of the Bath CC team, at the front of this C pack. Just looking at some of Connor Chandler's stats here. His minimum category is A, almost A+ in Zwift Power, although he is racing in the C race. He is one of our under 20 racers on Zwift, so a younger racer, and he only weighs around 68 kilograms, so a lighter rider here should be at a slight disadvantage through these S's. As now Frederic Otecki on the front. These C riders chasing down some of our drop to B riders. Not much data on Connor Chandler. Not seeing any of the usual power charts in Zwift Power, but consistently marked for upgrade, meaning consistently sandbagging, and he should be marked for sandbagging again in this TFC Autumn Series race, I presume. But now back in with the race, still at the front is Andre Strula, and we will see if we can go up with those front A riders right now. And now back with Andre Strula in this front group. And our A racers just coming over the Zwift KOM. This is their last time over the Zwift KOM, in fact, on their 3rd and final lap. And currently estimated to come in around 38 minutes and 24 seconds into this race. So just around 10 more minutes of racing for our front A racers. And now 200 meters from the top of the Zwift KOM, and Taco Tabak leading them out. Brancato saw him make an early move in the race earlier, also up there as well. Looks like Andre Strula, though, going to be coming over the KOM first. And currently, it looks like, not sure, those Zwift KOM results over to the left of your screen. I believe those are still showing as Category C results. And now just getting our A series results down on the bottom. Now, of those Cat A series results, Leon O'Regan in this front group, of course, is leading the A race. Not entirely sure where some of these other riders are sitting in that A race, as our A racers now heading down the backside of this Zwift KOM. E. Harris, one of our dropped A racers, is the rider sitting in second place overall, so he is racing today. But he will be picking up some points, but not large amount, as he is dropped from this front group, but still a decent amount of points. The points in this series, of course, going from 100, 99, 98, 97, 96, etc., all the way down to 1, and then 1 point just for racing if we have a field of over 100 riders, which does not happen very often. Taco Tabak now getting a little bit of a gap to those riders behind, about 7 meters. And he is leading this descent down the Zwift KLM, pushing just around 200 watts now, and his heart rate still up at 186 BPM. Pretty high heart rate numbers for a descent. So see if he can rest up for that sprint, which will be coming any moment now, or not any moment now. About 8 minutes to go to that final sprint. Just for those of you, just for those of you wondering about some of our B racing, Jay Mueller still up there, as well as Chris Ovenden, two of our favorites leading into this race. For the B category, farther back in our C race, Connor Chandler still on the front, and he's in a group of about 3 leading riders. Believe a couple more with the dropped B riders included, and maybe some C riders, not registered on Zwift Power. And then finally, farther back in our D race, Split P being shown as the official leader of the D race, but of course, he is just Zwift Power's leader of the D race, because we have a rider who is not registered on Zwift Power leading our D race currently. That is now coming down towards the bridge in the Italian villas, and this is one of the final little kicks up in the road before the riders hit that bridge. Or, excuse me, I just lost my bearings there. I believe that we are over the bridge now. Sorry about that confusion. Now, if you are enjoying the live stream, live coverage and commentary of this race, please subscribe to the Zwift Race Place. So I was saying, if you're enjoying the live coverage and commentary of this race, please subscribe to the Zwift Race Place for more live community division racing not covered on Zwift Community Live. And our front A category now just catching the back of the Ds, and we will be with our A racers in their final 5 minutes leading up to the sprint, then heading back over to our B category, followed by the C category finish, and then the D category finish. But our lead D racer blowing the rest of the D category away, sandbagging in that race, and he is currently a ways off the front, so D category finish should be pretty clear, but there will be a sprint for second behind, and we will have to watch that for the official win as our leader not registered on Zwift Power. So still, those racers in that group behind will be racing for maximum points on the day, so have to watch that sprint from behind in the D race. But still sitting in with our A racers, and Leon O'Regan, of course, one of the favorites for this sprint finish because he is currently leading the series standings. Believe he has 1 second place overall and 1 bronze medal. So, has not won a race yet in the series, I do not believe, but of course leading the series just due mostly to consistency. Not missing any, or maybe only missing 1 or 2 of these races. So Leon O'Regan, perfect model of consistency in this TFC Autumn Series. And O'Regan, of course, is that rider in the yellow TFC jersey on the Yellowtron bike, leading out our front A pack. And Taco Tabak now pushing 9 watts per kilogram just to get up to the front. This is when the final selection might happen. We'll see if any riders can break away from the front here, try and go for a long one. See another dropped D rider, Kay Gallagher, getting swept up now. In the front with Taco Tabak and Jay Brancato. Brancato in the gray jersey. And these riders just coming through the S's for the last time before they go for that sprint. O'Regan now coming to the front. This could be his chance at an A category win with this reduced field, and see if he takes advantage of it. Now pushing 4 watts per kilogram, just around 340 watts. A little glitch in the Wi-Fi there, but the riders still together in this front group. Still with Leon O'Regan of the TFC team, but Jay Brancato now coming to the front of our A race. And these riders will be starting that last descent before the sprint shortly. Just getting a quick view of them from under that tree there. Just let me know in the live chat which riders you would like to see, and I'll see if I can find them before they finish. And our B racers not far behind. M Dainty leading our B race just about 40 seconds behind these A racers. But our A category will of course finish first because they are just moments away from this sprint. We'll bear right at this little fork in the road here, head through this little tunnel, down a short descent onto the sandy roads of Watopia, and the banner will be in sight from there. Leon O'Regan now leading them out in the yellow TFC jersey. Andre Strula here as well, Jay Brancano, Taco Tabak, and these are your contenders in the A race for the win right now. Brancato now coming to the front, but they are all spread out and nobody has launched a sprint yet. Strula now kicking it up to 4.5, 5.86 watts per kilograms now. And he is leading this sprint. If we can go to the overhead view. Brancato now going early. See him at 11, 12 watts per kilogram, and it is Jay Brancato leading them out. But now El O'Regan just getting a closer view here. O'Regan in that yellow jersey, leading out the sprint, but and Strula coming around him just before the line, followed by Brancato and then O'Regan. And those were your top 3 A racers here. Just have to get back with our B race now, for they will be finishing in just a matter of seconds. See if we can catch them really quick. The clock is ticking down to our B race finish. And now back, watching the sprint there. Just believe that Chris Ovenden of Team Vegan got it, followed by C. Schmidt. But we will have to check later on that, as I am not entirely sure. So just waiting for the confirmed results there. And sorry about that. Almost missing our B race finish. See if we can just go farther up on the road. L. Jones of Team Vegan now just coming in. Sorry about that. And we are going back with some of our leading D racers now, just moving up, trying to find our front of the C race. Not sure, our C racers may have already finished, so see if we can catch this D category finish now. S. Morlock a ways back. This is Split P in your D race. But just moving up through our C racers now. See if we can catch that C category finish. Not sure where exactly on the road our lead C racers are right now, but I believe we can still catch the finish. Watching Frederic Oteki now. Emmanuel Forster. P. Lampert. Now we are with our leader of the C race, as we just are awaiting confirmation on our B race finish. P. Lampert, though, up here with Emmanuel Forster. And hey, Popsack, as well as Connor in the lead of this C race. That is Connor Chandler, leading this C race. And just approaching the finish to our C race, they are going to be descending down in to the banner in Watopia just in a moment. Now on the descent, P. Lampert, that is J Silk. P. Lampert leading them out. Connor Chandler also up here as well. Just trying to keep tabs on these riders is tough, as mixed in with a lot of dropped B riders here. E. Forster now coming to the front, and see if we can figure out who wins the sprint. And Connor Chandler now launching a big sprint, 15 watts per kilograms, followed by E. Forster. He is just behind, about 9 meters though now. And it looks like Connor Chandler is going to make it to the line just in time. Easing up though, see if Forster can come around him. No, Forster not able to make that finish there. And now these C riders have just finished. And we will just have to see if we can pick up with our D category, for they will be finishing soon. Okay, and we are now back with Split P. C. Romero just in front of him. And these are your riders leading our D race, I believe, or officially leading your D race, because the technical leader of the D race right now is not registered on Zwift Power. So will be shown as second place overall in the results, but this is your Zwift Power confirmed leader of the D race. And the rider that will be getting the points for first on the road if he wins in the sprint against Split P. Otherwise, Split P taking those 100 points. Because our rider, D rider up the road, not registered on Zwift Power, is not eligible for those points. That's how that works in series. Now, just getting a confirmation on the results. In the B race, Chris Ovenden being shown in first place, followed by Jan Mueller, Chris Schmidt of the Kirschmare team, and Chris Ovenden of the vegan team, by the way. Sean Leary sitting in fourth place in that B race, another vegan rider, and Jonathan Jones of the vegan team rounding out our top 5 B racers. But still with the front of our D race now is C. Romero getting into that super tuck along with Split P. Our confirmed A category results are being shown as Andre Strula, followed by Leon O'Regan, and then Michelle Auger and Taco DeBach in fourth place. E. Harris behind, taking fifth in our Zwift Power results. Jay Brancato, one of our leading A racers, not registered on Zwift Power, so not included in the official results. Also, back in the C race, Connor Chandler, who went off the front in that final sprint, is sandbagging by quite a bit, and A racer, almost A+, racing in the C race. So, see if he gets DQ'd from the race later by either Zwift Power or our folks over at TFC who make this race possible. But our leaders of the D race now just finished descending off that Zwift KOM, and C. Romero putting in a little gap to Split P. Now a second back, and Romero pushing 4.7 watts per kilogram, but Split P now about 18 meters back, and the gap is growing. So we will see if Romero can, of the Arthrex team, by the way, can go solo to the finish. This is Chris Romero, by the way. And now these two riders pushing up over 5 watts per kilogram. Split P trying to get back on, and Romero trying to hold him off. But Split P now coming back, and it looks like he will be rejoining our leading D rider, C. Romero. Now, quickly, before we reach the finish, if you are enjoying this live coverage of the TFC Autumn Series, Friday Criterium Series race, then please click the subscribe button for more community division racing, not covered on Zwift Community Live, right here on the Zwift Race Place. But in the meantime, we are just about to reach the Italian Villas, our lead D racers, and then descending down into the sprint, after that through the S's, and then it is on to the streets of Watopia, in downtown Watopia, for our finish. C. Romero just down to 0 watts for a moment there. Not sure what happened, maybe a trainer difficulty. But both of these riders only at around 1.5 watts per kilogram as they start the sprint. Clearly resting, the sprint point, not their official sprint. Clearly resting up for that final sprint for the win. Of course, there are no intermediates in the TFC Friday Criterium Series. No intermediate points, so no point in going for this sprint. Still watching Chris Romero in the front with Split P, and these riders are just about around less than 10 minutes now, around 8 minutes to our D category finish, and they are moving quite slowly now. See if that ETA updates, because it might take even longer, although it does not seem like a very long distance to the finish. But these two riders, neither of them wanting to take the initiative on the front, both of them just trying to sit in the draft and clearly trying to rest their legs for that sprint. Not a bad tactic, but at this point, it's giving the D riders behind a chance to make the catch, with Jay Robson now closing the gap. Just saw it tick from 13 to 12 seconds there. And it seems like Romero might have noticed and now taking the initiative on the front of our D race. Split P put on the back foot, but he is following up with a 10 watts per kilogram. Right there, shown in red numbers on the side of your screen. Sorry about that. Just lost my voice for a second. But now, Split P coming around Chris Romero, and Split P leading this race. And the gap to Robson now gone back out to 15 seconds. So, not as much of a chance of Robson catching these two lead riders now. Although, it is still a little ways to the finish and only, less than a 15-second gap. So, easily doable. I shouldn't say easily. My guess is that it's pretty tough to close that gap to these two lead riders. But now that there is a slight gap between the two, Romero around 10 meters back, not getting that benefit of the draft. See if Robson could make a move to come to the front. Split P easing off again, though, down to 2 watts per kilogram. And Romero also dropping. Those watts per kilogram numbers dropping. But Chris Romero is now back on to Split P's wheel, and it will be a battle royale between these two for the win in this D race. And these are your two official leaders of the D race. Another D racer up the road finished earlier, I believe, but not registered on Zwift Power, so not eligible for those TFC series points. Just coming through some of the last of the S's here. This is a tougher section for the lighter riders, as heavier riders are able to kind of steamroll right through it, but lighter riders tend to get dropped in this section. It's like Split P on a felt there, maybe a felt AR, and with a disc wheel in the back. Chris Romero electing to use the Canyon Arrow Road with the Zwift rims. Not sure if those are the Zwift carbon rims. I believe those are. But interesting wheel choice. I would have gone with the DT Swiss Arc wheels myself, as they are fairly inexpensive. Do not require. I believe you can unlock them at level 5 or 6. And he has the Canyon Arrow Road, so clearly a higher level than that. And our D racers now beginning the descent down into the finish, switching over to our D series results now. And Split P is leading them out. Not many riders left in this race, just our remaining D riders. Only about 7 or 8 of them. And this will be final finish here. Sorry about that. Just a quick glitch in the Wi-Fi. Split P trying to super tuck maybe, but clearly both of them at 0 watts per kilogram, 0 watts. Maybe trying to super tuck on that descent, but not possible, as they were both pushing well under 30 miles per hour, and you need 36 to super tuck. Split P, though, going early. He is leading out the sprint, and now 8 meters, 9 meters, 10 meters to Chris Romero. Looks like Split P might have this one in the bag. Chris Romero pushing about the same numbers, but easing off now as he sees that Split P is going to make this, and Split P easing off himself. Our leader in the D race. C. Romero just taking behind that, and T. Carosis, believe he took 3rd place, almost closing the gap down to those lead D riders. right, now this has been the TFC Autumn Series Race. This was an exciting race across all categories here. Andre Strula taking it home in our A race, followed by Leon O'Regan, our leader of the A race TFC series. Michelle Auger and Taco Tabak just following up after that. Then Connor Chandler taking it home in our C race, followed by Emmanuel Forrester. In the B race, Chris Ovenden taking it home, followed by Jan Mueller and Chris Schmidt of the Kirschmeyer team. And then in our B race sprint that we just saw, that was Chris Romero of the Arthrex team taking it home, followed by a split P. And behind him, not sure who that third place rider was. Do not believe that they were registered on Zwift Power, but we will get confirmed Zwift Power results momentarily. Now, thank you for watching this live coverage and commentary of the TFC Autumn Series Race. This is, of course, also goes by the name the Friday Criterium Series. If you want to see more Community Division races covered live here on the Zwift Race Place, please hit that subscribe button, and you can even let me know in the live chat or the comments below which races you would like to see covered. Those can be races that you are racing in, or races that friends racing in, friends or family, and you want to see them race. Just makes it a little more interesting with some live commentary. So hit that like button if you enjoyed this live stream, and I will be signing off just a minute. Just a final recap. Andre Strula winning your A race, Chris Ovenden, leader of the B race, Connor Chandler winning the C race, and it was a split. Chris Romero winning in that D race, although Zwift Power results now showing split P as the winner. Split P winning that D race. Alright, that has been our live coverage of the TFC Autumn Series, and we will see you next time for more live coverage of Community Division Racing. Thank you for watching, and please remember to hit the like button and subscribe.